Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for our final day of daily Amonkhet spoilers, and in all honesty, we don't have a ton to talk about today. We only have 2 new rares to talk about, and the rest of the cards are just a few uncommons that are kind of exciting, maybe have potential in certain decks, so let's get into it. A quick reminder, we're giving away a box of Modern Masters 2017 worldwide, so make sure to follow the link in the description and get in your entry if you haven't already. The contest ends Monday, so you got the weekend to get it done. Anyway, let's talk about the last cards of Amonkhet. So, rare number 1, Heart Piercer Manticore, is basically Fling Manticore. If you look at what this card does, it's essentially a fling on a body, which is pretty interesting. It has Embalm, so you can use it twice, and it's also sort of just the Flame Tongue Kavu of the set. The downside is, of course, you have to sack something to deal the damage, but that can also be an upside. While sacking a creature is painful, if you can sack a super huge creature, like a Pummeler, a Ravenous Intruder, maybe a Crackdown Construct, you can potentially just 20 your opponent on the spot. So I don't see this as a replacement for Fling. It's too expensive, it's too slow. If your plan is to pump your Pummeler a bunch of times and then fling it at your opponent, you want to use the instant speed 2-mana spell rather than the 4-mana sorcery creature spell. But it is nice to have a backup. If you're building a casual / fun fling focused deck for standard, I could definitely imagine having Heart Piercer Manticore being your backup fling, so you have more than 4 copies of fling in your deck. Our second rare and last rare of Amonkhet is Sandworm Convergence, and this is basically the green form of dragon. It's 1 more mana, makes it so creatures with flying can't attack you, and then, instead of dealing 5 damage, like Form of the Dragon, and also having the downside of making your life total 5, it makes a 5/5 green worm at your end step. So you get these huge worm tokens. It's very reminiscent of Form of the Dragon. Form of the Dragon doesn't really see play. Sometimes it's a finisher in enchantment-based enduring renewal builds in Modern. I don't think that Sandworm Convergence would be better than that, because the direct damage of Form of the Dragon is probably just better, especially since in those enchantment-based builds, most of the time your opponent is going to have a massive board of creatures, because you're kind of locking them down with Ghostly Prison, Sphere of Safeties, so you're not necessarily going to be able to just attack with the worm tokens and finish the game, but it's a cool option to have. It's cool for Commander, a neat new addition on the top end of the curve, and green is kind of the enchantment color more so than red at this point, so if you're playing an Enchantressy deck in Commander, this is a really interesting addition. Helps keep you alive, takes care of one of green's weaknesses of dealing with flyers, so it seems like it has potential there. As far as the rest of the new cards, we're just pretty much talking commons and uncommons, mostly uncommons, so Bone Picker is actually pretty sweet. 4-mana 3/2 flyer isn't exciting, but it only costs a single black mana if a creature died this turn, which is basically Delver of Secrets, a flip Delver of Secrets, and it has Death Touch. And the sweet thing is, this is any creature, so technically you can Fatal Push your opponent's 1-drop on turn 2 and back that up with a 3/2 flyer. So while you can't literally play it on turn 1 for 1 mana like Delver of Secrets, you can get it down pretty quickly in the right deck. Also works well with the self-sacrifice theme if you are going to use Aili or Yahani or something to sacrifice your old creatures, bond to, then you can get down a really powerful flyer for really cheap. Other uncommons that are of note, we have Faith of the Devoted, which is kind of the backup Drakehaven. It works exactly the same, it's exactly the same mana cost, but instead of giving you a 2/2 flyer, it drains for 2. So whether or not this is better or worse than Drakehaven remains to be seen. The upside of Drakehaven, obviously, is your 2/2 can block and help keep you alive. The bigger deal is this is a backup Drakehaven, so instead of just having 4 Drakehavens in your deck, if you're playing black with your cycling deck, you can have 8 Drakehavens, and that gives you some redundancy and make sure you have some sort of enchantment finisher to actually close out the game. Shadowstorm Visor is kind of the Storm Chaser mage of the cycling mechanic, and this is the the one, we talked a little bit about the cycling combo deck that's been floating around. This has a lot of potential there. If you can cycle, get this up to like 5 power, get all your cycling cards back from the graveyard, do it again, you're getting a really huge creature really quickly just for cycling cards. So whether or not it actually sees play will depend on how good cycling is. I'm not sure you play it in the Drakehaven Faith of the Devoted deck. I imagine that deck to be more controlling, but if there is an aggro, discard all your stuff, get it all back deck, then Shadowstorm Vizier could be a big part of it. Finally, we just have a bunch of multicolored uncommons. Honored Crop Captain, really aggressive. It's a 3/2 for 2, which is already a reasonable body, and then it gives all your other attackers +1/+0 when it attacks. So if you're going wide with tokens or swarming with white-red humans or something, this could be a consideration. Karina Charioteer is on curve, 3/3 for 3. It has trample, which is nice. Bigger deals, it gives all of your other creatures trample, and if you're playing huge things, putting Gear Hulk counters on things, maybe this is a consideration. It's nice that not only does your Gear Hulk have trample, but whatever it puts the counters on will have trample, so it kind of makes the haste damage that you get in the form of Gear Hulk counters into hasty trampling damage. And then Weaver of Currents is probably more of a casual card, but it's basically Palladium Mirror, a 3-drop that taps for 2 mana, so this can get you pretty high up the curve pretty quickly. If you play this on turn 3, untap with it, you potentially have 6 mana on turn 4, which is enough to cast a really big Nissa, cast any of the Gear Hulks, so there's a lot of potential there. Whenever you see something that taps for 2 mana, it's worth taking note of, although the very specific mana cost of blue and green might keep it from seeing much play in Standard. Oh yeah, and we finally got the answer to the puzzle. There was a picture of essentially this card floating around the last couple days as a mythic, as a 2020. Well, we know now, Greater Sandworm, 7 mana, 7/7, just a limited common. It does have cycling, so no 2020 mythic green vanilla creature in the set. Anyway, that is the end of our daily Amonkhet spoilers. So on the way out the door, quick reminders, we have pre-release coming up next weekend, so make sure to check out your local gaming store next Friday night, maybe the midnight pre-release. Saturday, Sunday is when you can actually start playing with the set. And then they updated Moto, so now on Magic Online, instead of waiting a week or 2 weeks to get to play the set, you will have pre-release events on Magic Online starting the Monday after pre-release. So as soon as paper pre-releases end on that Sunday, the very next day we get Amonkhet on Magic Online, drafts and sealed and all that stuff. We'll probably do a special stream for that, so lots of Amonkhet coming up. One more reminder, if you haven't already, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, make sure to get in on the Worldwide Modern Masters 2017 giveaway. There's a link in the description. Follow it, subscribe to the YouTube, follow on Twitter, that kind of stuff. And that'll be announced next week, along with a video shout out as we open the box on stream and then ship it to the winners. So anyway, everyone, what's your final thoughts on Amonkhet? What do you think of this set? We have the whole thing now. Head over to the Goldfish site. There's a link in the description for this as well. You can see all the spoilers. Look it over. Let me know. What else is there? Are we missing any sweet potential constructed cards? What's your favorite card in the set? What's your favorite mythic? How good are the gods? All these questions. So few answers, but everything will become clear over the next couple weeks as we finally get to start playing with Amonkhet. Anyway, thanks for hanging out the last couple weeks. It's been fun doing these daily spoiler videos. I think we'll do them again next time around for Hour of Devastation. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend. Have fun with Amonkhet next weekend at pre-releases, then the following week on Magic Online, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.